Tucked away behind lush hedges in Brentwood Park lies a home so serene it barely whispers its celebrity secret. This is where Christian Bale, Hollywood's most intense shapeshifter, retreats from the world. No red carpets, no chaos, just silence, stone paths, and discipline. But what does the private world of a man who became Batman, Cheney, and a serial killer actually look like? Today, we step inside. Before he was Batman, before he morphed into Dick Cheney or vanished beneath the madness of Patrick Bateman, he was just Christian. Christian Charles Philip Bale was born in 1974, not in the heart of Hollywood, but in the quiet town of Haverfordwest, Wales. His mother was a circus performer. His father, a businessman, dreamer, and environmental activist. Theirs was a life of motion, not glamour. Before he turned 15, Christian had already lived in 15 different towns: Portugal, England. Small corners of the world passed through like stage sets. What does such a childhood do to a boy? Maybe it teaches you to become someone else at will, to adapt, to perform. At age 8, he was already doing commercials. By 10, he was standing on stage beside Rowan Atkinson in London's West End. But when Empire of the Sun came calling in 1987, Christian wasn't ready for what came next. Steven Spielberg's war epic made him a star overnight, only he didn't want it. Fame, he said, was alienating. Acting was something he did, not something he was. And yet, it kept calling him back. Newsies, Little Women, Velvet Goldmine. Each role pulled him deeper into a world he swore not to belong to. He wasn't doing press tours. He wasn't chasing interviews. He was doing something else entirely. Studying, listening, becoming. And then came American Psycho. He transformed. Physically, mentally, even spiritually. Bale gained muscle, sculpted his body under fluorescent gym lights, rehearsed the cold detachment of Patrick Bateman until he almost disappeared into him. He was originally rejected for the role in favor of Leonardo DiCaprio, but when Leo pulled out, Bale came back, relentless and ready. His performance didn't just shock, it cemented him. He wasn't a pretty face, he was an artist with no fear of darkness, but even that was only the beginning. In 2004, he dropped down to a skeletal 121 pounds for The Machinist, eating only apples and cans of tuna. Then within months, he bulked up again, this time to 220 pounds of muscle. For Batman Begins. Who does that? Who suffers like that for a role? Only someone who doesn't just act, but becomes. And for 3 films, he was Batman. He grounded the superhero in grit and grief, turning Bruce Wayne into more than a masked billionaire, into a haunted soul. Each film grew larger, more successful, culminating in The Dark Knight Rises, one of the highest-grossing movies of all time. And yet, when offered $50 million to return for a 4th installment, Bale turned it down. Why? Because the role had run its course. Because his loyalty was never to the fame, but to the truth of the character. And that same commitment would define the next chapter. In The Fighter, he played Dickie Eklund, a washed-up boxer and addict, and won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor. In American Hustle, he grew a potbelly and slouched into con man Irving Rosenfeld. In Vice, he vanished into the thick, calculated presence of Dick Cheney. Another Oscar nomination followed. Even his salary followed the method. For American Hustle, he accepted a modest paycheck, but earned 9% of the film's profits. A smart, quiet move. A businessman in an artist's skin. Today, Christian Bale stands not just as an actor, but a paradox. He's everywhere on screen, but nowhere in public. He's a millionaire, yet avoids the spotlight. He disappears into characters, but in real life, he seeks peace, privacy, and the quiet rhythms of family. So what kind of home does a man like that build? When the cameras turn off and the roles fade into memory, there's only one place Christian Bale wants to be. Behind the gates of his Brentwood home, where the air is still, the laughter is real, and discipline meets design. Let's open the door. Estate in Brentwood. It doesn't scream for attention. It doesn't flaunt its Hollywood pedigree. It simply sits, quiet, refined, and watching from behind the leafy hedges of Brentwood Park. In November 2017, Christian Bale made a choice. He spent $8.8 million, not for a palace, not for opulence, but for serenity. A sanctuary where fame couldn't follow. A home not for performance, but for peace. And this house delivers exactly that. The moment the gate glides open, a sense of discipline washes over you. The stone-paved driveway is lined with mature trees that feel more European countryside than Los Angeles glitz. Every angle of this estate whispers control. Thoughtful landscaping shields the home from every direction. Privacy here isn't an accident. It's part of the architecture. Step inside, and the silence greets you like an old friend. To your left, the formal living room, airy and elegant, yet not overbearing. A grand fireplace anchors the space, framed by wide plank wood floors that were recently refinished to a glossy, modern sheen. The palette? Soft neutrals, whites, grays, earth tones. Nothing loud, nothing flashy. Just the kind of subtle grace that lets the mind breathe. To the right, a dining room with tailored edges, clean lines. A statement chandelier, yes, but more understated than extravagant. And then there's the kitchen. Oh, the kitchen. Designed for a professional chef, it hums with stainless steel appliances, marble countertops, a deep farmhouse sink, and a wine fridge embedded beneath custom cabinetry. Everything is placed with surgical precision. You can almost imagine Bale pacing quietly here, reading a script as a kettle simmers on the stove. Past the kitchen lies the heart of the home, a sun-drenched family room with dual French doors that open out to a backyard straight from a dream. Let's go outside. The backyard is both playground and meditation retreat. A sparkling pool stretches beneath the California sun, flanked by a hot tub, a stone waterfall, and a koi pond that sings softly as you pass. A shaded barbecue area invites quiet family dinners under the stars. The garden? It's not just landscaped, it's sculpted. Every turn reveals another surprise. A Zen-inspired meditation bench, a yoga deck overlooking the hills, even a tiny herb garden tucked behind rose bushes. There's something deeply intentional about every inch of this outdoor space. And then, the guest house. Vaulted ceilings, skylight showers, its own kitchenette. Not a throwaway addition, but a real, livable second home. Ideal for visiting family, close friends, or maybe, just maybe, a place for Christian to disappear when preparing for a particularly intense role. Upstairs in the main house, 5 bedrooms offer a haven from the world. 2 of them, yes, 2, serve as master suites. One likely belongs to Bale and his wife, Sibby, offering views across the hillside and over their children's private school sports field just beyond. Imagine that, waking up, coffee in hand, watching your child play soccer from the balcony, safe in the knowledge that the world can't see in. Because this house wasn't built for show. It was built for discipline. LED lighting runs on automated timers. The irrigation system is synced to weather forecasts. Solar-powered pool cleaners glide silently beneath the surface. Everything here hums in order, quiet, efficient, intelligent. It's not surprising when you think about it. Bale doesn't do chaos. He doesn't need chandeliers made of crystal or Instagram-ready kitchens. He needs space to think, space to train, space to be present. That's what this estate offers. A fortress of calm, a retreat from transformation, a place where Christian Bale can stop becoming and just be. And yet, Brentwood is only part of the story, because tucked away not too far, another house still holds memories of simpler days. Before Brentwood, there was Santa Monica, A smaller house, a quieter life, and the early chapters of marriage and fatherhood. What does that home still mean to the Bale family today? Let's take a look. Mansion in Santa Monica. Before the cameras, before the accolades, before the weight of billion-dollar blockbusters, there was a house, not a mansion, not an estate, just a home. In 2001, Christian Bale and his wife, C.B. Blazich, made a quiet purchase that would shape their early years together, a two-story property in the heart of Santa Monica. The price? $1.7 million. Today, it's valued at just under $3 million. But its worth to the Bale family? Priceless. From the street, the home reveals itself slowly through a charming canyon entry, almost hidden like a secret. No oversized gates, no grand entrance, just a path that feels more like a storybook trail than a celebrity driveway. And when you finally reach the front door, what greets you isn't glamour, but warmth. Step inside, and the space wraps around you like a familiar sweater. The foyer opens into a great room filled with natural light and a quiet hush, like the house itself is used to privacy. It doesn't expect guests. It expects family. Hardwood floors run across the main level, rich in tone and softened by years of barefoot mornings and quiet evenings. The fireplace, old-fashioned and charming, still carries the faint scent of pine from winters past. And the kitchen. Oh, the kitchen is the beating heart of it all. An open-concept layout allows light to flow uninterrupted from the kitchen to the dining and living areas. Think marble countertops, open shelving, and a layout designed not for chefs, but for conversation, for laughter, for teaching your daughter how to stir pancake batter on a Sunday morning. There are 2 bedrooms on the main floor. Spacious, but not sprawling. Ideal for guests, for a home office, or, once upon a time, for the children before they grew tall enough to take over the upstairs. And when you climb those wooden steps, you reach the sanctuary. The primary suite dominates the upper floor, an oasis of calm, complete with its own bathroom, reading nook, and views that stretch across the canyon. One room over sits a flexible 4th bedroom, often transformed into a playroom, a writing den, or a rehearsal space depending on the family's rhythm. But perhaps the most magical part of this home isn't inside at all. It's the back garden. Sliding doors open onto a quiet patio where sunlight filters through eucalyptus branches. There's space here for imagination, for fairy lights in the summer, for a small inflatable pool, or a fire pit where stories are told long after the children have gone to bed. And then there's the location. Santa Monica is more than a backdrop. It's a lifestyle. Walkable streets, hidden cafes, a short drive to the Pacific coast. The Bale family likely spent their early mornings strolling along Ocean Avenue, away from paparazzi, just parents and kids, blending into the slow rhythm of sea air and silence. It's easy to imagine Christian Bale here, not as Batman, not as the vice president, not even as an Oscar winner, but as a father, a husband, a man quietly carving out a corner of the world that felt untouched by the industry he so often conquers. Even now, with the Brentwood estate as their primary residence, the Santa Monica home remains in the family, a reminder of beginnings, of simpler joys, of who they were before the world was watching. Because some houses aren't just shelters, they're memory keepers. And in the life of someone who becomes other people for a living, this one keeps him grounded in who he truly is. From humble beginnings to historic roles, Christian Bale's journey has not only built a legacy, but a quiet fortune. So just how much has his craft earned him? And how does money fit into a life so focused on meaning over material? When your performances shape cinematic history, the money tends to follow. But in Christian Bale's case, it's not just about what he's earned. It's about how he's earned it. Today, his net worth sits comfortably around $120 million. Not a surprise, considering the global box office power of his films. But the way he handles his fortune tells us far more about the man than the numbers ever could. So, what does a man like that do with his wealth? He gives it away. But not in the way you might expect. For years, Christian Bale stayed quiet about his philanthropy. But then, something changed. A new project. A personal mission. One that goes far beyond writing checks, and into the heart of what it means to protect the ones you love. Let's step into the world of Bale's compassion. Philanthropy. It started with a quiet thought. What would happen if something went wrong? If he and his wife were no longer there? What would happen to their children? That single haunting question led Christian Bale down a 16-year journey that would become his most personal project. Not a film, not a role, but a mission. Together, California. Not just a charity, not just a donation, but a village. Bale co-founded Together California with one goal: to keep siblings in the foster care system from being separated. Across America, thousands of children removed from unsafe homes are torn from their brothers and sisters, often the only constant they have left. Bale, now a father of two, couldn't accept that, and so he built a plan. Located in Palmdale, California, the $22 million project broke ground in early 2024. Its vision? 12 family-style homes built for foster families to take in sibling groups. 2 studio apartments for older youth transitioning into independent adulthood. A 7,000-square-foot community center, complete with educational programs, therapy spaces, and places to simply be kids again. And this isn't just Bale putting his name on a logo. He's involved in every step, touring construction sites, working with architects, reviewing blueprints, meeting with community leaders. He's not just funding the project, he's fathering it. In interviews, Bale has spoken softly but powerfully about the mission. The idea that siblings are taken from their homes, then separated from each other, it's a second heartbreak. I thought about my own kids. I couldn't imagine them being pulled apart. That fear pushed me to act. The work is deeply personal, and it shows. Together, California isn't designed as a one-off. If successful, it's meant to serve as a model, replicable in other cities and states. It's Bale's way of leaving something behind, something real, something that isn't pretend. And while this is his most ambitious project to date, it's not his only one. Bale has quietly supported organizations like Greenpeace for environmental justice, Sea Shepherd to protect marine life, WWF to preserve endangered species, Human Rights First, Fulfillment Fund, and Small Steps Project, all dedicated to human dignity and education. Many of these passions were inherited from his father, David Bale, a lifelong activist who believed deeply in standing up for those without a voice. That belief now lives on in his son. But unlike Hollywood galas or Instagram campaigns, Bale's philanthropy is rooted in presence, not publicity. He doesn't do photo ops. He shows up with a hard hat, because for a man who's played gods, monsters, and men with everything to lose, the greatest role he's ever chosen might just be this one: builder of hope, protector of the voiceless, father, on and off the screen. Beyond the cameras and causes, Christian Bale's daily life unfolds in quiet moments. Family breakfasts, bike rides through Brentwood, and long walks away from flashing lights. Who is he when the scripts are closed? Let's enter his personal world. Personal life. In a town that thrives on exposure, Christian Bale chooses the shadows. Not because he's hiding, but because he knows peace lives in the quiet. At the center of that peace is Cibi Blazic, his wife since the year 2000. A former model and personal assistant to Winona Ryder, Cibi isn't just Bale's partner, she's his anchor. The woman who grounds him, travels with him, raises their children with him, and on occasion even performs stunts for him. Yes, She was once Bale's stunt driver in The Dark Knight Rises. Together they have 2 children, a daughter, Emmeline, and a younger son whose name they've kept intentionally private. Their family life? Unscripted, unfiltered, and fiercely protected. Travel is done sparingly, and often for work. But when the family takes time away, it's usually somewhere remote, somewhere quiet. No 5-star resorts, no paparazzi poolsides, just trails, trees, and togetherness. And then he returns to Brentwood, to the same driveway, the same kitchen, the same slow rhythm that keeps him centered. Even when preparing for a role, Bale refuses to let it disrupt family routines. If he needs to transform, he does it privately, in the garage gym, on solo hikes, while the rest of the world sleeps. He has often said that the real Christian Bale exists only off-camera, and that acting is simply stepping into someone else's skin so he can better appreciate his own. That may be why his performances feel so raw, because when the mask comes off, there is no performance. There is only a man, a father, a husband, a gardener, a thinker. And in the golden light of Brentwood evenings, when the pool reflects the last breath of daylight and the hills grow silent, Christian Bale is not rehearsing. He's not disappearing into a new character. He's simply home. If this glimpse into his private world moved you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. There are more stories waiting of icons who live not for the spotlight, but for something far deeper. See you in the next one.